Brahma from Vishnu, 610, in the end of the chapter. So we will get a whole dose, and we will be doing a lot of reading. So as best you can, stay focused on the verses. And I think I saw in a recent class, let's try to keep the mic exchange tight between the readers so we can go through. And we'll just read all these verses, and then I was assigned 17, but we will do 17, but I was attracted to another one, and so we will also look at another one. Okay, so I will start and then be ready for the, what do they call it, the baton handoffs, the handoffs of the baton. So at that time, so lots of questions by Parikshit Maharaj, lots of detailed questions by Parikshit Maharaj, and then there was the kind of introduction of this chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, of where this information is coming. So now here is the yet again another explanation of creation. So we just heard about the creation in the second canto. So why do we have to hear it again? Repetition is how you learn, yeah. For me, I just forgot it, right? We forget these things. Even though we're part of it and we're influenced by it, heavily influenced by it, still it is good to know these things. So this won't be the last time in the Srimad Bhagavatam that you hear about the process of creation. So it's quite interesting how what the importance is. But there is some differences in each explanation, even though the first creation went to very minute detail by Lord Brahma talking to Narada. Now we're hearing Maitreya and Vidura's conversation, pretty much the same, but it's not just exactly the same. There's nuances. There's other things in there, and there's maybe some of the details left in the second canto or not here, but some other focus is here. So the more we become attuned to Srimad Bhagavatam, the more we become used to the flow and the conversations and the purpose of those conversations, the more we can relish the conversations, because that's ultimately the reason why we are reading Srimad Bhagavatam every day. Apart from the external, there's like primary purposes and then there's secondary purposes. So the secondary purposes is to cleanse ourselves, become free from it. These are all just secondary to what? To the relish, to enjoying hearing about Krishna, which is our actual purpose. Our purpose is to associate with Krishna in our relationships. And Srimad Bhagavatam, we hear about these. So stop with my preamble, and I will try not to interrupt, but we'll start with 10. At that time, when the three worlds were submerged in water, Garbhodakshayi Vishnu was alone, lying on his bedstead. The great snake Ananta, and although he appeared to be in slumber in his own internal potency, free from the action of the external energy, his eyes were not completely closed.
Just like the strength of fire will fuel wood, the Lord remained with the water of the solution, submerging all the living entities in their subtle bodies. He lay in the self-invigorated energy called Kala.
The Lord lay down for 1,000 cycles of 4 yugas and in his internal potency, and by his external energy, he appeared to be sleeping within the water. When the living entities were coming out for further development of their fruitive activities, actuated by the energy called Kala Shakti, he saw his transcendental body as bluish.
The subtle subject matter of creation on which the Lord's attention was fixed was agitated by the material mode of passion, and thus the subtle form of creation appears was absent.
Piercing through the sum total form of the fruitive activity of the living entities took the shape of the bud of a lotus flower generated from the personality of Vishnu, and by his supreme will it illuminated everything like the sun and dried up the vast waters of devastation.
The universal lotus flower, Lord Vishnu personally entered as the super soul. And when it was thus impregnated with the modes of material nature, the personality of Vedic wisdom, whom we call the self-born, was changed.
Brahma, born out of the lotus flower, could not see the world, although he was situated in the world. He therefore circumambulated all of space, and while moving his eyes in all directions, he achieved 4 heads in terms of the 4 directions.
Lord Brahma, situated in that lotus, could not perfectly understand the creation, the lotus, or himself. At the end of the millennium, the era of devastation began to move the water and the lotus in great circular waves.
Lord Brahma, in his ignorance, contemplated, who am I that I'm situated on the top of this lotus? Wherefrom has it sprouted? There must be something downwards, and that from which this lotus has grown must be within the water.
Lord Rama thus contemplated entering the water in the channel of the stem of the lotus. But in spite of entering the stem and going near the navel of Vishnu, he could not trace out the root.
One nature, while searching in that way about his existence, Brahma reached his ultimate time, which is the eternal will in the Yadavishnu, in which generates spirit in the mind, a living entity like the spirit death.
Thereafter, being unable to achieve the desired destination, he retired from such searching and came back again to the top of the lotus. Thus, controlling all objectives, he concentrated his mind on the Supreme Lord.
At the end of Brahma's 100 years, when his meditation was complete, he developed the required knowledge, and as a result, he could see in his heart the Supreme within himself, whom he could not see before with the greatest endeavor.
Brahma could see that on the water there was a gigantic lotus-like white bedstead, the body of Seshanaga, on which the personality of Godhead was lying alone. The whole atmosphere was illuminated by the rays of the jewels decking the hood of Seshanaga, and that illumination dissipated all the darkness of those regions.
Pardon me, just one moment. So now we are about to hear a description of the bodily features of this personality that Brahma is. So let's, if we were drifting there from all that creation stuff, let's like really focus on these words of Sukadev, because this is going to reveal a very wonderful personality. Sorry, thank you.
The luster of the transcendental body of the Lord mocked the beauty of the coral mountains. The coral mountain is very beautiful, dressed by the evening sky, but the yellow dress of the Lord mocked its beauty. There is gold on the summit of the mountain, but the Lord's helmet, bedecked with jewels, mocked it. The mountain, waterfalls, earth, etc., with a panorama of flowers, seemed like a garlands, but the Lord's giant body and his hands and legs, decorated with jewels, pearls, tulsi leaves, flower garlands, mocked the scene on the mountain.
So what is, we heard this word 3 times, mocked. What does mocking mean? Huh?
He was mocking.
He was mocking me. Oh, very good example.
But it's not just copying, it's like copying with like make something else.
It's almost like
Make fun of.
Yeah.
make fun of. It's more like, well, okay. Yeah, I mean, we see this all the time in humor and things like that, somebody will say, oh, look at my new car. And then all of a sudden this big giant, truck will roll up next to it. And it's like like, what do you got here? This is nothing compared to the beauty of Krishna, because we see so many beautiful things in the material realm. They are energies of Krishna. So certainly there is some beauty in them. Like, what is the description here? Like this sun rising up over a beautiful mountain, and we all have some appreciation of this when we go to the mountainous regions, or when we go to the sea or the ocean. We see the sunrise and we think, wow, that's so beautiful. And when I go to the beach, sometimes me and my wife will go for a few days, and I always get up real early, go out to the beach and chant, and then you start seeing right at sunrise all these people coming out just at sunrise, and they're sitting there and they're just waiting for that moment when the sun is like makes it. And it's beautiful because it's a beautiful thing. It certainly is a beautiful thing. But compared to Krishna's helmet, his shining helmet, and his shining face and his beauty, his Sham Sundar that is effulgent in itself. It doesn't need an external source of effulgence. Compared to that, it's like, oh, what is this? And therefore it says, Lokana Lava Lokchana. By seeing his form, his beauty, the eyes don't care to see anything else anymore. You're just so focused on this beautiful feature. So imagine if we could actually appreciate Krishna in that way, that, wow, see Krishna, and you just focus, and it's like that. So it's like that for the pure devotees, that their attention is never taken away. That's mocking a little bit. Who's next? 25.
His transcendental body, unlimited in length and breadth, occupied the three planetary systems, upper, middle, and lower. His body was self-illuminated by unparalleled dress and variegatedness, and was properly ornamented.
If we run out, we can just start over again.
The Lord showed his lotus feet by raising them. His lotus feet are the source of all awards achieved by devotional service free from material contamination. Such awards are for those who worship him in pure devotion. The splendor of the transcendental rays from his moonlight toenails and fingernails appear like the petals of a flower.
He also acknowledged the service of the devotees and vanquished their distress by his beautiful smile. The reflection of his face, decorated with earrings, was so pleasing because it dazzled with the rays from his lips and the beauty of his nose and eyebrows.
Oh, my dear Vidura, the Lord's waist was covered with yellow cloth, resembling the saffron dust of the kadamba flower, and it was encircled by a well-decorated belt. His chest was decorated with the Srivats marking and a necklace of unlimited value.
As a sandalwood tree is decorated with fragrant flowers and branches, the Lord's body was decorated with valuable jewels and pearls. He was the self-situated tree, the Lord of all others in the universe, and as a sandalwood tree is covered with many snakes, so the Lord's body was also covered by the hoods of Ananta.
Like a great mountain, the Lord stands as the abode for all moving and non-moving living entities. He is a friend of the snakes, because Lord Ananta is his friend. As the mountain has thousands of golden peaks, so the Lord was seen with thousands of golden helmeted hoods of Anantanaga. And as the mountain is sometimes filled with jewels, so also his transcendental body was fully decorated with valuable jewels, as a mountain, as a mountain is sometimes submerged in the ocean water, so the Lord is sometimes submerged in the water of devastation.
Lord Brahma, thus looking upon the Lord in the shape of a mountain, concluded that he was Hari, the personality of Godhead. He saw that the garland of flowers on his chest glorified him, Vedic wisdom and sweet songs, and looked very beautiful. He was protected by the Sudarshan wheel for fighting, and even the sun, moon, air, fire, etc., could not have access to him.
When Lord Brahma, the maker of the universal destination that saw the Lord, he simultaneously glanced over creation. Lord Brahma saw the lake, Lord Vishnu's navel, and the lotus flower, as well as the devastating water, the drying air, and the sky. All became visible.
Lord Brahma, thus being surcharged with the load of passion, became inclined to create, and after seeing the 5 causes of creation indicated by the personality of Godhead, he began to offer his respectful prayers on the path of the creative mentality.
Thank you for reading. So, sign number 17. So we're going to start with that. And we can go to the Sanskrit, and I'll chant slowly so at all levels of Sanskrit expertise can take part. Tasmad yuganta swasana vaghurna. Jalorni chakrat salilad virudham. Upashrita kanjam ulokatattvam. Nama namadha vidad adideva. Please chant. Tasmad yuganta swasana vakurna. Jalor nichakrach salilad virudham. Upashrita kanjam ulokatattvam. Namadha-vidadadideva. Tasmad yuganta swasana vaghurna. Jalorni chakrach salilad virudham. Upashrita kanjam ulokatattvam. Namadha-vidadadideva. What else? Okay, we'll do the word for word. Tasmat, from there, Yuga Anta, at the end of the millennium, Shvasana, the air of devastation, Avaghurna, because of movement, Jala, water, Urmi Chakrat, out of the circle of waves, Salilat, from the water, Virudham, situated on them, Upashrita, having the shelter of, Kanjanam, lotus flower, Ooh, in astonishment. Loka Tattvam, the mystery of creation. Na, not. Atmanam, himself. Adha, perfectly. Avidat, could understand. Adi Deva, the first demigod. Ooh. Now we all can remember one Sanskrit word today. we remember, ooh, it's astonishment and in great astonishment. Lord Brahma, situated on that lotus, could not perceive, perfectly understand the creation, the lotus, or himself. At the end of the millennium, the air of devastation began to move the water in the lotus and great circular waves. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Lord Brahma was perplexed about his creation, the lotus, and the world, even though he tried to understand them for 1 millennium, which is beyond calculation in the solar years of human beings. No one, therefore, can know the mystery of the creation and cosmic manifestation simply by mental speculation. The human being is so limited in his capacity that without the help of the Supreme, he can hardly understand the mystery of the will of the Lord in terms of creation, continuance, and destruction. Om Aganat Miranda Shal Janana Shalakaya Chakshurumanitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Nama Shri Chaitanya Manobistam Sapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantam Namaste Girirajaya Shri Govardhana Namane Shri Shri Krishna Shaya Padamananda Daine Vrindavani Vrinde Vishra Pujita Pushpa Sadhanandani Krishna Jivani Vishva Pavani Tulasi Vanchakapa Trubhishcha Kipasundvi Vacha Patitanam Pavnivyo Vaishnavivyo. So, how many of us have found ourselves in this same predicament as Lord Brahma? We find ourselves somewhere, we don't know where we're at, we don't know what's around us, and we are bewildered, more or less. We've all had that experience. And so just imagine Brahma is Swayambhu, is I think one of the previous verses, that Swayambhu, that self-born personality, on the lotus, seeing nothing, just darkness, not seeing anything. Sometimes when we wake up in a start at night from a dream or something and it's completely dark, we're like, what does that bring upon us? What is that? Fear, yeah. And so fear, you could say, is an impetus for action sometimes. So he couldn't, and then Prabhupada says in this purport that by our limited ability, almost a mocking, we're also mocked a little bit in this purport, comparably to Brahma, who are we? And Prabhupada even gives that example one time to I think it was a temple commander of sorts, who thought, okay, I am controlling this area. And Prabhupada gives this story and says, well, there is the whole creation. Lord Brahma, and we heard Lord Brahma is so big that he's going like this, and he had to actually generate a few more heads just to see it all. So he had multiple heads. It's so big, so expansive. And within that tattva, or within that maha creation, there is a universe. There's one universe. And in that universe, there may be like a solar system. And in that solar system, there's a planet Earth. And in that planet Earth, there's a country called America. And in that country called America, there's a state called Florida. And in that state called Florida, there's a county called Alachua. And in that Alachua County, there's a neighborhood called College Park, sometimes known as the student ghetto. And within that student ghetto, there's this very wonderful little house. And we think, in that house, I am controlling this thing or that thing. We think we are very big, but it's like a mock almost, that we think like this. So how can we know the mystery of creation? But again and again, we're hearing about creation. Why do you think, even though we're acknowledged as incapable of understanding, why do you think we keep hearing it? What are some thoughts on that? Yes, like
because even if we don't understand it, hearing it is still beneficial.
yeah, that's one way to look at it. Good. Any other thoughts? I'm actually, for this one, I don't even have a preconceived answer. I'm just looking for, what do you think about it? The question is that we're acknowledged in the purport that we are so tiny and small. What could we know about the mysteries of creation, even with our concepts and our abilities and our senses? What can we know? But yet, this is the second time we're going to hear all the details, and there'll be another time in the Kapila's teachings to hear all the details. So why? Yeah, there's importance to it. It shows the importance. It's good.
We can relish trying to understand the glories of the Lord and His creation.
Yeah, trying. Better to do this than something else also, right? Yes.
You can teach a 5-year-old numbers.
Oh, that's very good. I like that. Blake again, yeah.
Because it's the heart hears it, even if the mind doesn't understand it. But on a deeper level, being a heart, it's still being heard, even if the mind doesn't.
Yeah. Yeah, Bhaktivinoda, he has a song in his Saranagati, Keshava Tua Jagata Vichitra, and it's almost like a joke almost, saying, oh Keshava, this material world is quite extraordinary. It's quite extraordinary. It's quite mysterious. And then he goes on to say, grab that here. One of these. Let's see. Yeah. Fourth principle. Third principle. Oh, it's in the fifth or sixth principle. Yeah, Keshava Tua Jagata Vichitra. Oh, Keshava. Oh, I used the wrong word. This material world of yours is most strange. So it's strange. Why is it strange to us? Strange can have multiple meanings. It means unknown, unaccustomed, or it's just weird. But it is weird. Why is it weird? You like this? Okay, I'm glad somebody is like, okay, Blake, yes.
Since our nature is unbound and unlimited and free, yet we find ourselves in a situation where it seems like we're bound, limited, and not free.
Exactly, yeah. We are spiritual beings, and we are in our original position, we act on a spiritual platform with Krishna and his devotees in his realm. But this realm, so whenever you leave home, you think, oh, I'm in a strange world, strange land, strange neighborhood. If you feel like, oh, this doesn't feel right. You never feel right unless you're where? Home, sweet home, right? So the material world, Jagata Vichitra, it will always feel that way. So it is good that we learn little bit by little bit some of the intricacies, or some of the, this is called Sankhya philosophy, understanding the material, and its relationship with the spirit. It is good to know these things so that when we actually may profess in our lives that I want to act in a more spiritual way, in a more actual way to my relationship to Krishna, I will know what are those influences that perhaps are diverting me from that. So we hear about Sharga and the creation all again and again and again, just so that we, and for me, I am not certainly somebody who can retain from this element, this came and that came, and there's a lot of things like that, especially in Kapila's teachings. There'll be a lot of this comes from this, comes from this, comes from this. Okay, I can't retain it, but I do know that this is the material energy. And he says, Karma vipake bhavavana brahma e pekalom ranga bhav chitra. I have roamed throughout the forest. So what is a forest? What does the forest mean? It's also a fearful situation. You ever been in the forest in the middle of the night? It's fearful. You don't know what's around the corner. I'm in the forest of this universe. And why? Because of my selfish acts. And I have beheld many curious sights, and I've taken part in many curious things again and again and again and again. Okay, now we're having a chance to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, to kind of understand, who we are, who Krishna is, what is our relationship, how do we act in that relationship, and what is the actual end? What is the ultimate activity of that relationship? This is what Srimad Bhagavatam is helping us. So, although we are so limited in our understanding of the matter and the material realm, how it interacts, even Bhishma, when he's talking about karma, Bhishma says, "Oh, it's no sense to even ask about it," because you could say, "Well, why did this happen to me?" Bhishma says, "There's no sense to even ask about it. You cannot figure it out. Well, which birth is it that this one little karmic reaction is coming from? And then how do I counteract it?" And the Bhagavatam also goes through that. Not only how the matter influences us, but how do our actions influence us? So the 6th canto, 7, they're telling us how the actions can be then funneled directly and properly in the service of Krishna. And Sukadeva, I love how he does it. He tests Maharaj Parikshit. Because Maharaj Parikshit says, "Well, how do we?" He said also, "Ooh." He was very astonished. How is it that people suffer so much? Because he heard so much suffering in the 5th canto. How is it that they're suffering so much? How do we get free of it? And Sukadeva says, "Oh, you just do the activity that would be opposite of it too. You get free of it that way." So Maharaj Parikshit, very intelligent, said, "Well, that doesn't sound right, because again, we can't even identify how everything happens. How can we identify every counter activity?" And that is called the process of prayaschitra. How do we do that? And Sukadeva said, "Yes, you cannot actually. It is like the bathing of an elephant. Elephant goes in the water, bathes, comes out, throws dirt on it. You say, well, the bathing is, what good is that bathing?" So Srimad Bhagavatam is always pushing us in a singular direction. And what is that direction? And that's what I got attracted to this morning when I was looking at the assignment. And this verse 27 particularly caught my eye, and the purport. So I'll read that again. But listen to this, and kind of before we don't put it on the board yet, but we can put it on the board in a moment. But I want you to take a moment and listen to this, and try to experience, what does this mean to you? Not that, okay, I'm hearing an excerpt from scripture, sounds pretty good, that's swell. But no, what does this mean to you, and what is it that you can do to gain that favor that will be described? So, Sukha, or the verses, because Narada is seeing the Lord, and we heard his beauty was such that it mocked anything in his experience. Anything in our experience, it mocks completely. And so he was seeing also the actions of that Lord, that great Lord. He was finally being revealing, his abode was being revealed to him, his actions. And so he said, or the verses, he also acknowledged the service, and he is referring to that Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu. He acknowledged the service of the devotees and vanquished their distress by his beautiful smile. The reflection of his face, decorated with earrings, was so pleasing because it dazzled with the rays from his lips and the beauty of his nose and eyebrows. So get this picture. Take this picture in your mind of this beautiful Lord who is there with Lasat Kundalam Gokula. His effulgence is spreading in his dham by these earrings that are reflecting off his cheeks. Oh, and what is his action? His action is he's smiling. Smitena. Harap Loka Hari Smitena. He is smiling at his devotees in reciprocation. So this is a natural thing. Whenever we do something for another person, let's just say I had a sweet ball and I gave it to you. What would you do? You would look at him, he's smiling. He's just at the thought of it, he's smiling. So just imagine if we do something for Krishna, because Krishna, and that act of giving to Krishna, that is something that he feels so in debt to the devotee for. Krishna, or Prabhupada says, devotional service to the Lord is very much obliging to him. Capital H, him. When we do devotional service for anybody, it's a natural human psychology. When we do something for somebody, naturally you're oh, let me reciprocate with this person. They didn't have to do that. There are many transcendentalists in different fields of spiritual activities, but devotional service to the Lord is unique. There are many ways, many transcendentalists, but actually performing something for somebody. You could just say, oh, there's two persons, they have a relationship, but they never acknowledge each other. They never do anything for each other. You say, yes, they're together, and but when there's like reciprocation, when there's, oh, I cleaned this for you today, or, oh, and I cooked this for you today, oh, and here's a gift for you. That relationship, and if we see that on the material field, what do you think about Krishna? And what does Krishna says? Napareham. I cannot. I am indebted. I am so much obliged that I cannot repay that. And this is highlighted or focused on in the pastimes of Sudam Brahman. Sudama, he was, and for those who don't know the story, a very, very poor personality. He was very, very poor. Had practically nothing. Him and his wife were living very simply, performing brahminical activities. Had nothing, and they were so hungry. They were all thin, emaciated. But Sudama was a friend of Krishna in his childhood. And she said, why don't you go to your friend? He's in Dwarka. Got 16,000 palaces. Certainly he can give you something, right? And he said, okay, I'll go. He didn't want to go because he was satisfied in his consciousness of being a devotee of Krishna. But okay, for this relationship, my relationship with you, I will do this favor. I will do it. But he didn't have anything. Usually when you go to somebody, especially when you go to somebody, just like Prabhupada would often say, when you come to the temple, you bring something. It doesn't have to be anything elaborate. You bring a flower, a leaf, a fruit, something. Just bring something. It's a good act. It's a good habit. And so he said, we don't have anything. So he went to his neighbor. May I have a little? And he begged. He did some begging. May I have a little, little dakshin? Give me something. Just he was begging for alms, and so they gave him little chip rice. Here, you take it. Put it in his bag. But he goes to Krishna and Dwarka, and Krishna, seeing his old friend, embraced him, and they were reminiscing about their life, their younger life together, and he was worshiping him because he was a brahmana. So much he was giving to him. And then he said, oh, did you bring something for me? And Sudama, at this point, he was like, oh, no, look at this place. This place is amazing. How could I give anything to? No, I didn't. No, I didn't. So he grabbed it and he started eating. Oh, this is so good. And Rukmini said, okay, you've taken enough. And so one of the Charyas comment that and what he had given Sudam, in the background and the behind the scenes, he transformed his house into a similar palace of great opulence. And still Krishna felt embarrassed. Why do you think he felt embarrassed at that gift? Yes.
Because he gave everything, but Krishna just gave some.
Huh?
He gave whatever he had, or even more than what he had.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. He gave even what he didn't have. Sometimes we have, okay, we have a certain, I'll give something to Krishna. But not only did he give everything that he had, he gave even more. And Krishna, he becomes indebted. And so what is this reciprocation? The smile. And we'll hear later in the Bhagavatam what that value of smile, what that smiling face does for the devotees. In the Kapila section, we'll hear about that specifically. So that keeps your attention. So when you continue in the third canto, but we have gone a little bit over time. Is there any very quick questions or comments? Yes, Ma.
I have a question about Krishna's smile because we hear about it all over the place, but we rarely see in any paintings or pictures. Do you know why? Anyway, in one sense, I think maybe it's because we have to do something great to see the smile, probably. But is any other reason?
We don't see, you're saying we don't see Krishna smile?
Well, it's a light smile, but not like a big smile.
Yeah, and what eyes do we have to see Krishna's smile, and what talent do we have to paint Krishna's smile? We could also ask that. But we know Krishna's smiling. I don't know. I've never thought of that. But actually, and I'll give you a hint, Kapila says, when my devotees see my smiling face, and he's referring to his deity forms, and the deities are smiling. They don't have to be like clown smiles like we think is a smile, it's like Krishna's just, he's very subtle. And the things that he does is very subtle with his devotees, and therefore it's called mysterious. It's just, when somebody's smiling, sometimes we even hear you smile with your eyes. And so what is that smiling with the actual lips? Is it smiling with the eyes? Is it a nod? Is it a gesture? But the devotees will feel it. And I think we've all experienced something like that when we do something for Krishna and we stand before the deities and we're feeling some reciprocity. I think so. You were going to say something?
I was gonna say the deity.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's three kinds of smile, and one of them is when you show you.
Yeah. We don't see too many. I'll admit we don't see Krishna with that type of smile, with showing the teeth, except in Yeah, Radhika Raman. You can see Radha Raman. You can sometimes you see his teeth there. So. Yes. Jai.
So I guess back to like one of your first initial questions, where you asked why we're continuing to go back over creation, which I think is interesting too, because I thought we kind of left off, covered everything in the last canto pretty thoroughly, but here we are. It says, but I guess it kind of answers in the purport. It's because we have limited capacity to understand these things, so we have to have help from the Supreme. But then it says, in terms of creation, continuance, and destruction. So it's like specifically what type of mystery of the Lord we're trying to understand. And I'm assuming that personified is Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva. So why at this point are we like he asking us to think about that part of
what is system? And that goes back to the very beginning, is question of where am I, what is this lotus, where is this? And we have similar questions. Who created? Why am I here? We have those same questions. Who am I? I think that was the next verse. Who am I? Yeah. Who am I that I'm situated on this lotus? Where does it come from? There must be something, some cause to this, because we've never seen anything without a cause. And so some creation, maintenance, and destruction. Why does this go on and on and on? And we contemplate this because we say, well, why doesn't Krishna just bring us all back? Well, because we wanted it to fulfill our desires. He has created this, you could say, quite elaborate, but for him, how does it activated? Like that. Kind of glances at it, and that's it. It's nothing for him. But for us, it is a tabernacle. It is like, it's completely covering us. And if we don't know, why is it on a cycle? Why does it come and go? Why is it so hard to enjoy here? If we don't know that, we'll keep going and going until we make those inquiries. And then we understand, okay. Actually, it is for Krishna's pleasure that we exist. And when I act outside of providing him pleasure, that's where this area is for. But he is also, and I think this is shown later in the third canto when we hear about Jai and Vijay, this is shown very acutely where he's pleading on behalf of his devotees, please let them come back. Don't let them go to the material world for long. Please let them come back. So the compassion of the Lord, you could say the material world is hell. Why would a gentleman or why would a lady even go there? But we go there of our desire, but he doesn't want us to go here. We go here because we wanted to go. But he's made, if it was always just steady, just creation and just that, there would be no learning curve. So, but there's cycles of our death, There's cycles of the yugas, there's cycles of creation, maintenance and destruction. All of these are to like, hopefully, sometimes, you need to shock us back out of, a heart attack or something. We need to be shocked sometimes. Oh, is that what it means to be a servant of the servant of Krishna? Is that what it, when will we get it that there is no real enjoyment here, anything tangible, anything permanent? So does that help a little? Yeah. I don't know how much longer I have, but Nardarishi, he had a comment too.
Yes, no, one question.
Yeah.
Is Krishna obliged to do this, perform these transcendental activities for our pleasure?
Is he obliged?
Yeah.
I would say I don't know he's obliged to do anything. But when Srila Prabhupada says he becomes obliged to the devotees who do service, then I think we think about, we want to say that he's forced to do something, but Krishna is never forced. He is Atmarama. He is self-satisfied. He doesn't have to do anything, but he is expanded for his pleasure, and each and every jiva was part of that pleasure. So you could say in one way, oh, without us, we are not providing one particular aspect of his total pleasure. And so he is very concerned because he's also concerned that we only will be happy when we are in relation with him and serving in that capacity. So he is concerned, and that's why he comes again and again and again. We hear the list of Acharya, and then we hear that Nam Avatar. He comes as the holy name. He comes as and he enters. He also enters himself as Paramatma to ride along with us, to provide us, knowledge, remembrance, and if we really want, he'll give us the forgetfulness too. So he's constantly giving us opportunity and to see him, to recognize him. So does that? Yeah.
The reason I'm asking, in the process of creation, he created Lord Brahma from his navel, and that lotus, and then just Brahma became completely bewildered, and then he enters in that stem, then just he didn't know, then again he returned back of just So these activities he's doing because he's the doer of these activities. Brahma was simply, leaving the master. So, but then when he came out, then he understood that this is the desire of the Lord, that he wants me to create this material universe, within this material universe, the living entities and so forth.
Yeah.
So
in the second canto, it says that Krishna did appear in the sound of two syllables, Tapa, and so then for a millennium, as it said today, both in the second canto and here, the same thing, that he sat and meditated on what is my duty for a millennium, for thousands of years. And then he got the glimpse. But we're never left alone. Even Brahma, although seemingly alone, he was never left alone. He's always something, as Brahmanda Bharat, as we're continually traveling in the Brahmanda, the whole universe, trying to enjoy, but we're mostly suffering. But then when we get a glimpse of that mercy of Krishna, he'll give us a situation where we. Okay. Class needs to be done. I'm told that. But Hare Krishna, all goes to Srila Prabhupada.